swear by so-and-so wali, or swear by the one whom you worship or the one whom you venerate, by so-and-so wali that that you venerate and that you worship, then he will refuse, and will become, he will refuse to swear, because he fears, or he fears some kind of revenge, or some sort of calamity or revenge that will come from this wali. So the difference of this person with respect to swearing by Allah and swearing by this wali, that in itself proves that in this person's case, this is major shirk. Right? This is major shirk because of the way he behaves, because of the way he's very easy and lax when it comes to swearing by Allah. He doesn't make anything of it. Yet when he swears by a wali, then he'll be very, very cautious. And this shows that he venerates and he glorifies the wali in a manner in which Allah should be glorified and venerated. And so this therefore is major shirk without a doubt. And the Shaykh says, likewise from the shirk which occurs in wording is the saying of a person. In fact, and this is what Ibn Abbas, he continues to give some more examples. So if we finish off the statement of Ibn Abbas said, it is, for example, so he explains first of all that shirk is more hidden than an ant on a black rock on a dark night, and it is when a person says by Allah and by your life, or so and so, or by my life, or when you say, for example, if it hadn't been for the dog, then this thief would not have come, or if it hadn't been for the duck or the dog in the house, then the thief would have come. The thief would have come. Or if it hadn't been for the dog, then the thief would have come. And if it hadn't been for the duck in the house, then the thief would have come. And likewise, when a man says to his companion, whatever Allah willed and what you willed. And the saying of a man, if it hadn't been for Allah and so and so. Right? So Ibn Abbas said, don't put anyone else alongside with Allah. All of that, because all of that is shirk. And that's the same statement of Ibn Abbas. So the Shaykh continues and he says that from the shirk in wording is when a man says to another, whatever Allah wills and what you will. Or if it hadn't been for Allah and so and so. All of this is not permissible, because to unite and to gather between Allah and other than Him by the use of this conjunction which is waw, the letter waw, by use of this conjunction, then this, because the waw necessitates tashriq, it means sharing between two people, equating between two people. So to put Allah together with the use of the waw with something else in the likes of these situations, then this is not permissible. And what is correct is what the Prophet ﷺ himself advised with and directed towards, is that the person should say, Ma Allah, thumma sha'a fulan, whatever Allah willed, then what Allah willed. So instead of using waw, Ma Allah wa ma shi'it, whatever Allah willed and what you willed, then you use the word thumma, Ma Allah, thumma ma shi'it. That, whatever Allah willed, then what you willed. So the difference is that waw, the conjunction waw, the letter waw, is for tashriq, meaning to make people share in a certain thing, right? To share something between one or more people. Whereas thumma, it necessitates tartib, which is succession, one after the other. So thumma is permissible when you say whatever Allah willed, then what you willed. So this is okay, because then you are placing the will of the creation after the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas in the first case, you are making the will of the creation alongside and equal to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we find in the Quran that Allah always places His will before the will of the servants, because Allah says, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ, that you will not will except as Allah wills, the Lord of the world. So here Allah has made His will dominant over the will of the servant. So the servant no doubt has a will, but it follows the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this statement of Ibn Abbas here is what he has said concerning this verse, in which Allah says, فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And this verse has prohibited the taking of rivals and equals with Allah. And the verse includes both major shirk and the minor shirk. And Ibn Abbas, so even though the verse includes both major shirk and the minor shirk, so the prohibition is for both major shirk and for minor shirk, when Allah mentions do not set up rivals with Allah, then these examples that Ibn Abbas gave when he made the tafsir of this verse, these examples he gave were examples of only minor shirk. And the Shaykh says that sometimes, or the Shaykh says that Ibn Abbas, he gave examples of minor shirk in order to explain this verse, because he wanted to, because by way of this illustration he wanted to make the people aware of that which is greater and more severe, which is the major shirk. Right? So in other words, that if this verse is in prohibition of the minor shirk and it shows that it's not permissible, then how much more so then with the major shirk? Right? So it's just a way that Ibn Abbas has chosen to illustrate examples of minor shirk in this verse, so that basically people are not lax. So if we, for example, if we gave the examples of major shirk, then to illustrate this verse, then maybe issues of minor shirk, people may not be aware of them. So he chose to illustrate examples of minor shirk, to illustrate what this verse means, so that by way of it, he can imply and show that the major shirk therefore is even more severe. Right? So basically, so therefore, if it's done this way, then the people can understand that both minor shirk and major shirk are prohibited. And the Shaykh explains that the Salaf, sometimes they would use a verse that was revealed specifically, or was revealed in relation to major shirk, and then they would use that verse as a proof to prohibit minor shirk, or for the prohibition of minor shirk. Because minor shirk is still a type and a form of shirk. And the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا, this verse, then this verse includes both of these two types of shirk. So therefore, the Shaykh then says that from this verse, or these two verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, and from this statement of Ibn Abbas, there are many important, many masail, many issues and many benefits. And then he goes on to enumerate them. First of all, the first issue is that Tawheed is the greatest thing which has been commanded with, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He began with it in the very first call that He made in the Mus'haf, in the Noble Mus'haf, in the Quran. Meaning that the very first command, the very first time that He called, invited the people by using Ya ayyuhan nas, the very first time He made the command to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this itself shows that it is the greatest thing. As He said, Ya ayyuhan nas u'budu rabbakum. Second issue is that in the verse there is a proof that just to affirm Tawheed or Rububiyyah is not sufficient for Tawheed, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already informed in this verse about the mushrikeen that they already know this. Because Allah said in this verse, Ya ayyuhan nas u'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. And then he continues to the end of the next verse, and he said at the end of the verse, wa antum ta'lamun, which means whilst you have knowledge. Right? And these people, they knew, you informed about the mushrikeen that they know that Allah is the creator of all of these things that Allah has mentioned, like the sky and the other things that Allah has mentioned here. They know all this, and they know that Allah is the only creator. Yet they still, and the question is asked, why do they worship other than Him? From those things which don't even create anything. So they had knowledge of this, and they know this. So Tawheed or Rububiyyah, to have knowledge of that in and of itself is not sufficient, and that is something that you can derive from this verse. That proof is something you can derive from this verse. The third issue is that, again, in this passage from Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He used Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, right? So He mentioned certain things, and He used it as an evidence for Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Ilahiyyah or Uluhiyyah. Because Tawheed al-Rububiyyah